during our work session, just sketchy notes. We talked about.
Yeah, we talked about this, that, or anything else, but I don't think details necessary.
Evening, folks.
Good evening.
Hi, Mark.
Oh, there you go.
Hello, Mark. Just trying to work our way through here. All right. Okay, and where's the place where I? All right. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay. We, on the, work session schedule, we have the review dock structures more. I put that on there because, Mark, at the last meeting was going to finish up with the, online fill out of the squares in there, which he has done. I don't think there's any changes to that, Mark.
That's correct.
All right, so I think that one's ready to go, Kevin. The guidelines for subdivision, I know Bill, you had said some ideas. How are you guys doing on that?
Oh, well, you've got our outline that I sent. Does everybody have that? This is what Mark and I put together as a starting point.
Yeah, I had the outline. I didn't know if you'd gotten any further.
I resent it in case anyone didn't have it. It should be in your inbox at the top.
I had that. I just wasn't sure if you'd gotten any further on it.
I think you sent docks and moorings. Is that right, Mark?
I thought I sent both.
Center, second one.
Yeah,
Oh,
it came in 2 minutes later.
oh, thank you. Says it's found.
I think this is a little trickier than, what we've attacked in the past. And Bill and I just kind of did a rough outline. I don't know, Bill, you want to go through it?
Yeah, I think in general, as we think about these applications, as a board, we may want to see documentation that's over and above what's required by either code or statute. Is that a fair statement, Mark? So as we get applications for subdivisions, we think that, and this is particularly true, I think, in the case of those smaller subdivisions that we've seen recently, where you've got a couple of lots or one lot being made into two, that kind of thing. We're not talking about a massive subdivision with a lot of homes and lots. And so we talk about sketch plans and
I think a sketch plan can be useful anytime, but you know, it doesn't have to be, especially like what Bill's talking about on a small one that doesn't have any variances or associated with it. But, you know, just taking 5 acres and dividing it into 3 lots and they all conform to the code. That's pretty straightforward. Or say 4 acres, don't use 5 because that's it's 5 lots, I'm sorry. Anyway, go on, I'm sorry.
and then, but in the case where there are variances that are required, then a sketch plan, we think, should be submitted with documents that include the tax map, a survey, or a deed, or other similar information showing what we want to see is any known easements or right-of-ways through the properties, proposed lot lines with approximate dimensions and lot areas. So either a map, a survey, or deed showing that kind of information.
And I think the intent there was that we want to know that if indeed somebody is less than the required setback or area or frontage or something like that, that what they're proposing actually works.
Yeah. That's just not sketched out on a piece of paper. We'd like to know.
And again, that sketch plan is to avoid them doing a full survey at that time, but they hopefully have had a survey or they have a deed or they have something that gives us enough detail that we can make some sketch plan. There's no approvals, but it would be a nod, like, yeah, we're buying into what you're thinking here. Or no, we don't really think you should proceed because we're probably not going to buy into it. You know, we're not denying anybody at sketch plan because that's not what we do. But again, the difference being, if there's no variances involved, they don't have to do sketch plan. They could go right to, you know, just proceeding and have a preliminary plan submission. But if they are going to have variances, then they need to do a sketch plan review.
All right, so you're putting the sketch plan review before the preliminary hearing
Where it's part of it.
as part of it.
Well,
And again, this is right out of 19052.
yeah,
It is the code we have.
Well, I'm not questioning that, I'm just looking at what I've got here in front of me.
Right?
but this is the information, if if the variances are required, then the such sketch plan that's presented should have what's included in A, and also include B, which is what's the current zoning of this property? What's the setback, lot width, coverage? Any of those kinds of details be included. And then we've left ourselves open to any other items that we think might be necessary. Just so we,
A good example of that would be, you know, in past cases, for instance, somebody had proposed a house that was, or a lot that was narrow, but they had an idea for a house. And if somebody indeed has a house that, you know, on a narrow substandard lot, if they want to share that, that might improve their chances of us saying, yeah, that looks like it might work. That's just an example of one thing possibly. Another possibility might be adding on to another lot with some sort of wedge of property or something, and we say to ourselves, well, why would you want to do that? And then they show us what they're doing and why. And I had that case in my lot when I moved in. My neighbor, her sidewalk was on my property. So we subdivided some of my property and gave it to her, and some of her property and gave it to me, and we made us both, you know, more compliant.
But
Which-
picking on your suggestion in those instances where there's variances requested, don't, you didn't mention, you mentioned survey, but you didn't, for example, mention a topo map or, you know, if I go back to the NAP application, the request there was for undersized lots. In the case of undersized lots, though, one of the things that we talked about at some length was compatibility with the surrounding properties. You know, the adjacent properties, the neighborhood, if you will. So wouldn't we also be looking for some indication from them that there's a basis for the request for the variance as opposed to I just want one?
well, I think
Establish a need.
Yeah, and I think what you're getting at is for this, I don't think we want to codify every possibility.
Right.
So you have a C, you know, and under the C, there might be a situation where you look at the topography and you think, I'm not sure about that. Let's have a topo map. Or I'm not sure about that because I'm not sure of what's surrounding this. Let's look at maybe a broader tax map, I don't know, but another document that would show the neighborhood and how this
So there,
fits in. So that's why
mine
you
hasn't downloaded yet, so I don't know what you've actually got in there yet. So part of the reason for my question perhaps relates to being able to see what
Yeah.
you've got.
Another example of the C of the C of additional items that the board may require would be septic. I don't know if there's parts of the village that aren't sewered, but I imagine there are. And
I don't believe so, Mark. I do know there are parts of the village that don't have natural gas, but I think everybody's on.
Everybody's on public sewer.
I think that's right.
Well, even if they are, they potentially may not be able to get to it and may elect to try and do a septic system. And that would be something we would definitely want to look at. In other words, if you're down in a hole, you've got two choices, pump or septic. And the health department will allow that, I think, at times to be septic, even if a sewer is available. These are just, kind of examples of exceptions to the norm.
I'm just trying to think of the only place that's down the hole that I can think of is the old, come on, Bruce Carey's up the, Dema Lake.
Yeah.
And that's on sewer line.
I think part of the South Shore, those homes have to pump.
Yeah, I've got a pump.
Up to the street.
I'm about as low as you can get. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to be in a hole on the bay.
What's that, Mark?
I said it's hard to be in a hole on the bay. If you're in a hole, you're probably wet.
Well, I don't have to step too far to get my ankles wet.
But that's an example of what we're talking about.
But
We don't want to make it too hard for people who are, asking for a subdivision, no variances.
right,
You want to keep it clean.
And I appreciate that.
yeah,
So
that does make sense. On the other hand, if they're asking for variances, then extra rigor would ordinarily be.
If they need a variance, I think we should have stuff in there where they have to have a statement as to
Why?
why.
Yeah, the variant.
Well, we can put that in the final draft in the letter of intent.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
we've required of people getting a fence to say why they need a fence. I think I'm asking for a variance on a subdivision.
Yeah, under variances, that's why we've got that.
That all lumps under C.
C, yeah.
So the next is the preliminary plan for minor subdivisions. And that basically has to have the above requirements. But we're also saying that's an A, and in B, we're also saying, if you want to get preliminary, you need to have your survey done. So you need to give us a plat that basically shows the subdivision.
SP.
Thank you.
Are we together here?
Just trying to get Bill online. Checking my password.
So preliminary plans for minor subdivisions. We're saying, as Mark just stated, that we need all of the above, everything that was A, B, and C, and a survey plat for the subdivision prepared by a licensed surveyor.
Okay.
A little more detail, obviously more expense for the applicant.
Mhm.
But those applicants have either A, gone to sketch plan, or B, are fully compliant and shouldn't have any problems. I guess there could be an exception there if we had a really difficult site with, say, steep slopes or wetlands, where they may have a compliant from a zoning code standpoint, but the actual buildable area is in question. So that is a concern. Maybe we want to add a C again any additional other items planning board may deem necessary.
Yeah, requested, yeah.
Yeah,
And this wetlands thing is gonna go bonkers again.
yeah, I think we saw that in the training we
Right.
Oh, speaking of which, you should have that credit already in your file.
Oh, yeah, okay. Thank you.
And then item number 3, for major subdivisions. And this would be subdivisions more on the line of what we've got up there by the golf club.
Mhm.
Where you're talking multiple lots. We need
Streets,
streets,
yeah, that's another
all of that.
sewer connection.
Anything actually over 5 lots. So it
Right.
doesn't necessarily have to have a street.
Right, and the code it says 5 for major.
And so that's everything that we were requiring for a minor. Plus all the requirements in code sections 190,
59,
yeah,
55 through
50,
59.
55.
And there's an awful lot there. In that code provision, there is the ability for us to waive things if we deem that to be okay at the time. So I think, that's good. There's a talk of all sorts of stuff about letter of credits and, inspection and installation and things. And, we need to have all that there, but if it's a 5-lot subdivision in a farm somewhere with no proposed municipal improvements, we may want to, lighten up a little.
Mhm.
It gives us wiggle room, I think. And I guess, everybody should look at those requirements before we finalize this form. On the docks and mooring form, we put in a fairly extensive paragraph with all the requirements. This 155 through 159 goes on for 4 pages. And I don't see us doing that.
The idea is to keep it short and simple.
Right. But
Well-
that, if we just have that inclusion saying plus requirements of this, I mean, certainly if somebody's a real developer wanting to do a 10-lot subdivision, they're gonna probably, with a road and with public water and public sewers and all that, they're gonna go through a lot.
Right.
But that,
Right, so. So basically, we come up with this sheet, and once it's determined that it is a major subdivision, we just refer to that section, or should we,
Yeah, I think the idea was to try and keep it to one sheet,
right,
and then they would be referred to that section. And I think, Kevin would say you're looking at a major
right,
subdivision here. This is where you need to go to find out what's going to be required.
But would that individual initially come in with a sketch plan also?
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, so before they would go to the expense of all of the detailed surveying and so forth, they could come in with a sketch plan, just looking for the nod, I think, as you say, Mark.
Right.
not, but the idea that it's feasible.
A nod,
A small nod, a small nod.
No,
maybe a
you
wink.
give me a nod, I'm going.
You're gonna go to
Yeah,
jail.
some people will take that.
All right.
All right. So you would like us, trying to get the idea, you'd like us all to review that section one more time and make any,
You know, we can dress this up. I mean, you know, there are periods where there should be indentations, make it look nice.
Sure.
so what I would take.
Yeah, we just wanted something for people to look at.
Well, I think that that's what needs to happen is to get it dressed up and take another look at it. I may have got ahead of myself on our next topic here, which was to select the next guideline that we want to work on.
Hadn't you suggested that we would begin to take a look at short-term rentals?
Well, that's not a guideline for this.
Oh, right.
Yeah, that's code. I believe that's Lieutenant, right?
Yes, I am.
That's if you want to comment on that. Hoping that our two applicants for that and Taylor. So,
There you go. No? Oh, I'm Burnett.
Yeah.
with your head down, I couldn't. I just want to. Ted, we got the public comments at the end of the meeting, but we only had 2 applications, so it shouldn't be all that long.
Oh, no, I understood it.
I just,
No, that's fine. I just didn't know how early to get here. Didn't want you to close up if the first 2 went fast.
okay, I will point out that Janine is not joining us tonight. She's with the ambulance corps, she's the secretary. Tuesdays, their normal meeting night. And speaking of normal meeting nights, our next scheduled meeting would be Labor Day. We're not going to be up to the 3rd Monday. Okay,
Kevin doesn't have many applications stacked up.
I don't know. I'll check it, but he hasn't said anything about a big stack of them.
Okay.
Usually he
Give you a
does.
heads up. Yeah.
Can't really begin our meeting for another 4 minutes, so. Yeah,
Well, I would suggest that we might want to, there's a lot of questioning being put forth on the short-term rental issue. So I think it would be a good idea to get working on that.
it's my intention to start that next month. But I wanted to get word out ahead of time and taking input on that, both written and one meeting earlier in this meeting, then the rest of it be submitted to Tracy, who will distribute it that way. Everybody gets the same information.
Great.
And Ted, I have forwarded your letter to the clerk. So that will be included
Okay.
with all the other that we get.
Will I still be able to speak to it?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Just let me know when.
Basically, I can't start my meeting late.
How long are you planning on talking about?
3 hours, maybe?
3 hours? All right, that's fine.
Filibuster? Until you help me, which I would assume would be within a few minutes.
Just out of curiosity, how many units do you represent?
We own 3.
All down on the numbered streets?
No, one is on Second, the other 2 are next to the convenience store.
So which store?
Next to the convenience store?
To pitch up.
Yeah, Pit Stop.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Is one for sale?
We are selling, no relation to this issue, but,
Are you selling all 3 or just that one?
well, when you first go on, it's actually 2. There's 2 homes there.
Yeah.
It's a unique property. There's 2 homes in the garage.
No, it's not about that.
Got 3 minutes for our agenda.
I've got, according to the clock here, I've got 1 minute and 6 seconds. I'm going by the clock on the wall.
The official Sodas Point.
That's right. They have our own time zone.
Steve Taylor was on TV with the closing of the Greens grocery store.
What?
Yeah.
Well, what I saw in the news was there's a proposed legislation at the state level on short-term rentals.
Oh, really?
It was announced today.
Oh. Did they say when it might evolve? Or is it
I
just getting
I
started?
think it involved occupancy taxes and stuff like that. Supposedly level the playing field between TRSs and hotels.
Hotels, yeah.
All right, it is
And not forego the revenue.
time to begin.
New York City.
We'll start
Yeah.
by announcing this meeting was posted in the Wayne Times, posted on the village website. We have a quorum. So our first activity is a review of the minutes from the August 5th meeting. I know that Mark and Mr. Finley submitted edits to,
Yes, and I made those corrections.
so
Thanks for wading through all of that. And,
Yeah.
it was a lengthy meeting. I'll move that we approve the minutes as
Second.
as revised.
okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Minutes have been approved. Thank you. All right, we're going to begin with Mr. Burnett. If you'd step up and refresh our memories on your project, please.
Sure. So Hillside Drive, it's a single residential property, 28 by 32 structure with front porch and back porch on a concrete slab. I put the revisions in for driveway, gravel driveway there with a culvert as well. And I sent those updated plans over to
All
Kevin.
right. We've got those, the culvert will be determined by the highway department,
Okay,
when he gets to it.
okay, sure.
Unfortunately, he said he's slammed right now, and since your house is gonna take time to build, he'll get to it,
Sure,
okay? Then we can include that in the information.
okay, yeah, I measured the neighbor saw 8 inches, so I had to put that, but, whatever he needs.
Yeah, it looks like it'd be, I don't know if you need to think about putting in some sort of a catch basin or that, or something like that there, Zach, because as it flows, you're catching more water as it flows downhill, and you don't want it to go all the way over your driveway and not enter the ditch
Sure,
until it gets past your property, basically.
okay.
So, I guess,
A trough drain would work.
yeah. But is that something that Brad would
Right,
would
Brad would take all that,
weigh in on?
and it's only a 1/4 inch pitch, over 100 foot. So it's not gonna be rushing.
No, no. Although we've gotten, there's a lot of water that probably sheets off that hillside.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah.
Mr. McKee,
I don't have anything to add.
Mark,
I expressed last time concern on the culvert and the grades. And I appreciate that the plan was revised and it does show a culvert. I think that we as a board get into a little bit of trouble and as a village by saying that our highway superintendent's gonna specify the size of a pipe. We've already gotten in trouble in another case where a pipe was put in too small. And it was blamed on the highway superintendent, which I think was wrong. But I think it's up to the applicant to have a plan that shows the grades and the pipe size properly sized, such that it's not the responsibility of the village. I do think that the applicant has, tried to conform to what we're asking for, so I would suggest that that some grades on the driveway and the culvert design be included on the plans prior to issuance of a building permit. But be a condition of final approval.
the, 109 people, it's a gravel driveway also, it's not a salt
That's called-
surface.
Yeah.
So
Uh,
so that does allow for percolation.
It does, but then once the culvert goes in and he decides to put asphalt on the driveway at a future date, that card is played, so might be something to consider.
Well, the offsite drainage and the hillside drainage is significantly more than the driveway. The driveway is a very small component of the runoff. Those are my comments that I am concerned. The driveway, I think, is probably, I don't know what the house grade is either, so that it's difficult to kind of judge. I mean, I think it's a nice plan, but I would hope that there'd be some design thought into what the grades will be such that we don't end up with a driveway that's, going to be a hazard in the winter sliding right into the road. And I do think the highway superintendent should be reviewing this information once it's provided to him for his sign off on it prior to a building permit. Again, I think the plan is a good plan. It just needs a little more tweaking.
I'm personally comfortable with the highway department making that call. I know we got, I shouldn't say we, because the planning board did not approve that situation that you referred to. That was done without our approval.
The highway superintendent, though, is not a design professional.
Do you have a suggestion, Martin, that you're trying to get to? You want to-
Well,
Size?
yes, I mean, there's somebody that has put together the plans. The plans need to have somebody backing the design. Whether it be an architect, an engineer, a surveyor, a design professional.
Mr. Burnett, this new drawing that you have provided us, who drew that up?
That's the architect. I just sent Kevin a screenshot of that. I do have an email, it's like the stamped plans of it, so that's all stamped still.
Well, that would be good to send that to us, please.
Sure.
All right, so this was drawn up by an architect.
Yep, and I have a full, plans just updated with throwing in the gravel, so it's all stamped.
Did the architect also provide for any, any, gutter drainage, accommodation other than draining to light?
I don't believe she did. No, I talked to my excavation, my contractor and the guy that's doing excavating. He suggests we run it down to the ditch, kind of underground there when he's doing utilities.
Yeah.
But she did not add anything to that extent.
But you're thinking of that.
Yeah, thinking to help with some of the runoff, just get it down to the ditch.
Yeah.
And I can email, I don't know who to email this to. I think it's all it's the same stance. And that's only adjustment from.
Email that to Kevin and he'll get it to us. I see that the architect has called for an 8-inch diameter on that culvert.
Which appears to be consistent with the one to the
To the south. So I measured one to the
Yeah.
south and
there.
So I normally don't make motions, but I would move that we approve this contingent on receipt of those stamped plans.
Yeah, receipt of the stamp plans, including accommodation for the sizing of the pipe, of the drainage culvert.
I would say size, type, and location, or size, type, and length,
Good.
and location.
Well, I'll let you make the motion.
Can I interject for 1 second? Sure. So the next meeting is not till end of September, is that correct? And the next approval will be now?
Now, this would be your approval.
Oh, okay. I just I just have to send emails, okay.
Correct.
Thank you. Okay, sorry about that.
No, it's all right.
Wait while you're ahead.
I'll move with that. We approve the application for the construction of a 22 by 10-foot 2. I'm sorry, wrong application. I'll move that we approve the final site plan review for 7118 Hillside Drive to construct a 28 by 32 residential home subject to receipt of the stamped plans, including the plans for installation and placement of a drainage culvert at the roadside entrance to the property.
I would just amend that to say size, location, and elevation of the culvert and spot elevations of the home and the driveway.
Sounds good to me, Mark.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Hi,
Aye.
Those opposed?
so you just want to talk to your architect so that there's elevations for everything that gets submitted.
And with the topographic map essentially.
For Kevin, yeah, okay.
And you provided us with a topographic map, which was fantastic. So that's the hard part of what we're asking for.
Okay, just having kind of that mirrored onto the topographic.
That's correct.
All right,
All right,
thank you, sir.
thank you all.
All right, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Taylor,
Yes,
you want to step up and refresh our memories, please?
so I've been to the zoning who approved your recommendation to approve the plan to bump out a very small section of the southeast corner of the house of an addition to match the house, existing home,
And,
22 inches by 10. Single story, roof lines to match.
22 inches by 10 and 2 inches.
Correct.
And that was approved by the zoning board. Any questions from members?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the response to the zoning board question.
The zoning board approved the addition of that.
And that is a setback relief that's already existing, is it not?
That's correct.
So,
It's just bringing.
Already existing with the rest of the house, just not that corner.
right, but it's kind of redundant.
Yes, but it had to be done.
I got you. That, I was just wanted to make that clear. Thank you. No questions.
Okay,
No,
all right, so we have a motion.
I'll move that we approve the final site plan review for the construction of a 22-inch by 10-foot 2-inch addition, one-story addition for stamp plans to 8269 Lake Street Extension.
I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? Okay,
We get your autograph, your famous guy.
oh, do you know how much I'm gonna pay for that Rotary in Newark?
all your.
Probably a lot.
Rotary in Newark, huh?
Yeah,
You ever think of joining Rotary in Solis?
I think they closed.
I thought Weatherby was.
I don't know. We were both Rotarians, so
Were you?
a lot, yeah.
I haven't-
Yeah, saw that.
Zoom maybe Zoom, but
I'll have to check with Weatherby or.
no, they didn't, they're not up at Steiger House.
No, they were meeting at the library.
But I've been with Newark for 25 years. so-
Oh, I get that,
Yeah, it's gonna be expensive.
Thanks.
all right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for what you guys did.
All right.
Thank you.
As soon as I'm done with all this, I'll join.
Ted,
Perfect.
public comment on short-term rental regulation. Go ahead and.
Oh, thanks for letting me speak. I know this is often a touchy subject. January last year, I sent
Actually, it was in 22.
Okay, it was longer ago. And I shared some thoughts about limiting vacation rental homes. And I fully understand as a homeowner, the issues, and that's why we work very hard to be respectful of our neighbors and communicate with them. But I want to point out, it wasn't long ago the point that several, I know we've owned here for about 11 years, that dilapidated, nearly collapsing homes. Remember, nobody wanted them. Those conditions essentially confirmed there simply were not enough would-be owners that wanted to buy, renovate, and use those homes. Most of them have been picked up now, and refurbished, knocked over, and rebuilt, what have you. I've watched the past several years, the point is blossoming in beautiful tourism area. The village leadership, local organizations, and our neighbors are owed a lot for that. However, good vacation landlords have participated in that as well. Whatever you ultimately do, please consider the well-run vacation rental operators provide these benefits, economic and tax benefits. Vacation rental homes increase tourism dollars as vacationers spend more in local restaurants, gift shops, bicycle rentals, boat rentals, and the like. Without the steady flow of those vacationers, some of those businesses would almost surely close. You see that problem. Businesses that have a hard time even keeping the doors open. Given the challenge the point has had in keeping those doors open, that benefit alone has to be made careful. It's worth adding this economic benefit is year-round, as we and many others rent all year. We rent Thanksgiving, Christmas, we do Gannett rentals, all sorts of things. And Gannett, basically, those guys eat the jacks every night, so they're pumping money. We help, or they help homeowners earn extra income. You might have some homeowners that otherwise can't afford a vacation home. They rent it to offset it. It's the same reason we bought our first one here. We wanted to be able to vacation here. We couldn't justify the expense of it to sit in. Creates and supports jobs. Wherever possible, we hire local for landscaping, painting, snow plowing, cleaning, remodeling, everything. Larry Benji built our deck on one of the houses. Trevor Davey does our landscape. We're always looking to people local. So we put money there. A lot of people who would buy a home just for themselves, cut their own grass, paint their own trim. I'm lazy. We try not to do that. We spread the benefit of tourism far better than like Wayne County tourism. Along with dozens of other vacation rental landlords, we consistently market SodaSpoint. When you add all their websites, direct email marketing, listings on Airbnb, VRBO, and others, we're an ad hoc group driving tourism. And I can assure you we are far better at it than Wayne County Tourism Bureau. No offense to them. Proof of that is for the 11 years or so we've been renting here, we've gotten maybe 2 inquiries through their website. We have hundreds, if not thousands, in that time that have rented with us and spent their money. And that's just us with the 4, one time 3 homes now. We track every single rental where it comes from across the country. So we know where to spend our advertising dollars. So I know that's dead on fact. We fill the voids in the hotels. Without hotels being able to survive in such a small area, we fill that void. And it's more than just vacation rentals. We often are the guest room for people with small cottages here that can't fit their families. Obviously the Gannett thing, there's no hotels here. Families come into town for a new job or whatever, they need a temporary place. So all of that adds into it. Property values. Even though a lot of people will tell you that vacation rentals drive their property values down, they don't know what they're talking about. Every single home we bought, we bid more than anybody else. What's that mean? It means the property values go up. When we sell these, we're going to sell it for more than you would think it would have gone for if it had just been kind of maintained as living. It drives up those values. Now I recognize some people will say, "Oh, then it makes it harder for others to buy in." But anybody that owns a home here will value that they're going up. School system, we don't touch it, but we pay for it. No star exemption, we don't get that benefit. So there's no offset to all the things that go on here. We support local organizations, Save Our Sodas, Lake Ontario Wine Trail, Great Soda State Association, Lakeview Property Owners Association, Neighborhood Association of SodaSpoint, Wayne County Tourism. We pay into all those. Excessive government oversight will drive business away. These days, you can't miss the routine news stories about population business leaving New York State due to excessive taxes, government overreach, weather, etc. We can vouch for that. We traditionally invested in single-family rental homes in Greece, apartments in Canada. We sold them. Cuomo signed a law in 2019 that took a lot of our rights as a landlord away. We're invested in other states now. That's what you'll do if you are a little heavy-handed. I'm not saying don't come up with something to tweak it, but be careful because these vacation rental homes really do bring a lot of benefit as long as you have good landlords. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Do a few bad landlords. The specialness of the point comes from the combination of all of these things we talked about. Great leadership, property owners that care. If there's a few bad apples, please reach out to them. I can tell you, as a nearly 11-year investor here, Kevin, Dave, none of them have ever contacted me saying there's a problem. We do have one whiny neighbor. That happens. But we have always done everything we can to cooperate with them. We placed noise ordinance signs despite the fact that there is no noise ordinance. Telling our guests on the deck, no noise after 10 p.m. Please honor the noise ordinance. It doesn't exist, but we tell them that. Tim Wilbur, who lives next to our beach house, there were problems because he had a sand driveway for the longest time. People don't recognize it. People at the beach would park across his driveway. Wasn't our guess. We told him, but we still put a sign up for him, don't block the driveway. He'll tell you our guests are great. He tells me every time I see him, I'm surprised because he's the next door neighbor. So I mean, I urge, you're cautious. I'm not saying don't do anything because you've got to answer to people and balance it, but it can be dangerous. So that's what I commented on in 2022. Today, I just sent to Mr. Gardner a little update. So much has passed since then. All those things are true. But now I understand you're considering following the Huron law. They've got some occupancy things that are just broad brush. They have no basis other than they probably copied them from Canada or somewhere else. Our beach house, Kevin Drushel measured it for us when we bought it because we were told by our neighbor we could only have 8 guests. So the same one that told me there was a noise ordinance. I called him, he came out and measured it. We qualified for 16 by state guidelines. That's all we've ever done, and we will hammer our guests. They did something other than that. But again, guidelines for here is at least 12 max, no matter what. We've got a 6-bedroom home, that was a lot of people. That's a 25% reduction. 25% people spending money in this town. 25% less money. 25% less occupancy tax if Wayne County moves forward with it. So far they've been appealing because they know that's going to hurt business. The moment we announced the occupancy tax, we lost a $2,500 rental the next day, and then they repealed it. Wish they'd known that ahead of time. So just be cautious. And on those large rentals, I know people think, oh, 16 people is a lot. The vast majority of our guests, we'll take this the right way, are our collective age. Their grandparents renting that place for their children, their spouses, and their grandchildren. They do not throw wild parties. It is not, Fort Lauderdale. And that's why somebody like Tim Wilbur says, we'll get a great guest. And they come year after year after year. Now, the last thing is just an interesting story. I don't know if any of you know about the house next to Tim Wilbur to the south, towards the bay, almost blew up a few weeks ago. You know this story? Does anybody know? No. Thank our vacation guests. The only occupied home in that street was our home. Everyone else was empty. It was a weekday. The house that was an elderly man, wasn't the most cared for house. He passed away. Somebody cleared it out the weekend before. All I can surmise is they took the gas stove and didn't cap it. There was gas everywhere in the neighborhood. Our guest called us. Both of us collectively each called 911 and RG&E, and they got out there. The home would have blown up, and I don't know what else would happen. That's a vacation guest. That's rented here for, all the years we've owned that home. We bought it from Tom. And I know they rented from him before. These people are invested in the community too. So I urge you to be cautious. there's so many times when I see in big government, they just write this broad brush thing and unintended consequences every single time. I can almost predict it. It's just what happens, so just use some sensitivity, that's all I ask. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, I mean,
Thank you.
I'm glad you're here because, and I think we all agree with your comments. I think the most important thing for this group is to understand, and you can share this with us, what are the biggest challenges you face as a landlord in running your property?
Oh, that's easy, bad reviews.
No, I mean,
I'm not kidding.
physically,
That's-
I mean,
Oh, no, no.
do you run into problems with parking?
We,
Do you run
the
into
one that's up for
problems?
sale, we have enough space on our driveway for 14 cars. We don't have a parking problem. We put a driveway in at the beach house where there was none before, if they're parking sand down there. We put a paved driveway. We also have an excessive sand that we tell the four-wheelers, people with all-wheel drives can park on. And we are not one of those that will infringe, and we actually, Second Street, because there could be some people with a few extra cars. We tell them you will be towed if you park on the street. That's all there is to it. Really, because we know they don't come tow every car, because there are a few legal spots there. There's a sticker right on the front door and the door that faces the lake with a picture of a car being towed away. Don't let yours be one of those. I mean, I'm not kidding. You go down and look on the front door. It's there in the window. And so I don't think we have.
You're saying you don't have a challenge with your rentals.
We don't have a challenge with parking. We don't have a challenge. I mean, well, if we're being honest, the biggest challenge we have is the neighbor who plants trees in front of our window. That is the biggest problem.
Is what?
A neighbor who plants trees in front of our window. Wants us to get out of business and leave her to spend on a vacation rental since long for us.
I don't know if it's appropriate for me to ask a question. Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Public comment.
What was the Huron that you referenced?
Dave
Huron what?
told me today that there's a good chance you're gonna marry the Huron, sorry, what did I say, Huron, vacation rental code, which is, near as I can tell, copied from other towns. I mean, all over the Finger Lakes, they've been wrestling with this. But like the Oxford code, I rent a house down in Canada, it has 12 bedrooms. Just limited to 12 for no, just an arbitrary number, it's foolish. And for all the same reasons I said here,
So the property you have that can have 16, and the family comes and they've got 8 cars. Will
we
that
can
property,
easily put that on our lot. If you were to take a look at that, there's a driveway for 5 cars that's paved. You can easily park 2 more cars in the front yard, actually if there are daughters have little cars, they fit there all the time. And then you can go all the way back the lot, you can put 3, 4 more cars or trailers or what have you. And they will, and I've not heard, and I'll tell you, my neighbors are my watchdogs, I mean that nicely. Mr. Wilbur will call me if there's a problem. Nowadays, when he calls me, it's because, hey, there was a package delivered to your porch and nobody's there. It's nothing, about parking or anything. Getting his name, the gentleman that bought the 2-family next to our house here on Bay Street Extension, was remodeling, doing a really nice job. He calls me and tells me there's a skunk in the yard, that's about it. He doesn't complain. The neighbor that has the house right next to the store, nice lady, she did call me once because mistakenly one of our guests tried to walk into our house, and I was appalled. They had the wrong address, and we took care of it. But we don't get those types of issues. When the family that moved out, the couple that moved out of the greenhouse in front of ours, they called us to rent the little cottage for their spare bedroom when they had time. We have our name, our number, our email, everything in front of the houses, not just for guests, because we don't get a lot of rentals all the time. The neighbors know where we are. And we are small private business. My wife and I answer the phone 24/7. Not a management company who might not answer. So and I'm not saying we're better than any other landlords, but I've been a professional landlord for 40 years. I used to run $300 million in real estate before I semi-retired. So we know you've got to get along with the neighbors, get along with the town. Recently, we did a partial roof. I called the county, do I need a permit? Not if it's only a small portion, we check those things.
What advice would you give to that person who's just bought a piece of property for the first time? Or has a piece of
Start
property
slow.
that they converted the garage to a rental?
Those probably aren't permitted.
Okay,
I don't think
so,
they are. My advice literally
I
It would
mean,
be to start slow. When we started, we had it was a 1-bedroom, it was over on Wickham, a cute little thing, it's for sale right now, people bought it from us, are selling it. We advertised it on one site, the RPO at the time. It was basically learning your way, you gotta figure out what you're doing. Anybody that buys ours, we're an open book, we're sharing everything about it, our systems, everything. But I certainly would be telling them to be very wary of offending neighbors. You want to be an active part of the community. I can't get out there as much as I want. All our grandchildren and our kids live within 14 minutes of our home in Greece, so my wife hasn't let me convince her to retire up there yet, but too long to drive every day. So.
What would help me the most is if you address things the way you did the number of residents or the number of people per rental. You had a specific, concern, and maybe a solution. So if you were to look at that Huron ordinance and you were to say that, they only allow 12 and you would recommend maybe 2 people per bedroom or something of that nature, that's something that we as a board can act on, is a specific thing that you suggest or something that we can modify it and make it so that it's more acceptable to the rental community.
I'm glad you asked that, because actually, and I could probably find it when Kevin Drusher came down and did it. What he explained to me, so it's not just the number of people per bedroom. The beach house, as an example, has a huge great room. There's room for fold-out sofas in there. And some bedrooms are larger, if it could easily accommodate more than 2.
That was just an example. I'm trying to.
Because he had a state guideline that explained all that, because I was having a problem with my neighbor insisting I could only rent to 8. And so he explained it all, and so then I understood, it's not just a bedroom issue.
Right.
What if you have an open loft? You can't put beds in it, there's no wall, it's not technically a bedroom, but why couldn't you? Why couldn't you put a sleeper sofa there or something of that nature? So I would actually, I'm gonna decline and ask if Kevin can produce that, because it was a state guideline from my understanding.
Well, whatever we end up with will be, I provided this board and the village board with 7 or 8 different
Great.
codes that are out there. We are not going to reinvent the wheel.
Oh, that makes sense.
We will adopt and
Tweak.
modify and tweak so that it fits our community. Huron, town of Sodus, both have code. But they're also both significantly different than this village.
Yes, you're a unique village. That's why we thought of it.
So whatever we come up with will be tailored to this community.
We appreciate that.
Okay.
There was one other thing in there, you have to have my residence has to be within 40 miles of the property. That's gotta be from yesteryear. With technology, you can have cameras on your homes, you can have sound detectors. When we get a call, we could be in Florida, we call Larry or something, and we'll check it out, they're right around the corner.
Well, I think that was the idea, that whoever's responsible has to be close, don't have to be the owner, they have to have a representative.
But we're still gonna insist you call us because we're the ones that answer 24/7. And we'll get it taken care of.
I've got some other people here, like to.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry, it took more time than I intended to, but I really appreciate it, thank you very much for your interest.
Ladies,
Thank you. Well, actually, we came by today to listen to the comments regarding the short-term rentals.
I hate to, but if you could step up here and identify yourself, by the way.
My name is Lynn Stahl. We came tonight to listen to the comments concerning the short-term rental policy that the village is considering.
Okay.
That's why I came.
Are you a short-term rental?
No, we are homeowners on the road.
Thanks.
All right, we've got a couple people online here. I've got somebody identified as S. If you wish to comment, please unmute yourself. Okay, Mr. Dugan? Dugan?
Dugan, that was right, thank you. Hi, yeah, this is Larry Dugan. I live at 7575 North Ontario Street. I have a home that we use for short-term rental for about 6 weeks out of the year. We use that, that's basically what pays our mortgage for this place, or I wouldn't be able to afford the place. It's a 3,000 square foot home, and we do have a capacity of 15 people. I will say that this year, of the 6 weeks that we rented, I'm here now, of the 6 weeks that we rented it, 4 of those 6 people were here for a family reunion. And we were across the street from, well, kitty corner from the lighthouse. And our place gets used for weddings, people coming from weddings and bring family from all over the country. I will just, I really could not say it better than the first gentleman that spoke tonight. He was well-versed in all the details. I would just hope they're the same thing. We are very careful about who we rent and how we rent. We have very strict rules about the way our home is treated. I bought this place because this is where I wanted to retire and wanted to live. And until I could afford to do that, and I am now retired as of this year, until I could afford to do that, I used the supplementary income to pay the mortgage on it. So this has been a great opportunity for us to become part of the Sodas Point community, and we've enjoyed doing that. We have, our boats are here, everything else is here, and then the 2 greatest seasons of Sodas Point, as far as I'm concerned, which is spring and fall, we get to spend our time here. So I do wish you would consider the fact that there's not just large companies that are coming in here, or whatever the concern is. I'm really not sure why this is such a concern, but I hope you consider that the small guys too are here, doing our rentals, paying our mortgage with that, and then are planning on retiring and spending the rest of our lives here at this community. So that's my speech.
Well, we look forward to you joining us full time.
Thank you for your comments.
Okay. iPhone 2. If you wish to comment, please unmute yourself. Okay. Michael Marletta. If you wish to comment, please do so. Okay, Michael, I don't hear anything, so I'll assume that you don't have any comments. Okay. We will continue to advertise this. We'll get it in the shoreline and ask people to submit their comments to Tracy. I think we got some good information tonight. This next month we'll get started on it. Okay?
Great.
All right. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, say aye. Those opposed? We're adjourned.
Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank
Mark,
everybody
take
for
it
your
easy.
input and time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
And ladies, if you decide you want to make a comment, just send it to the clerk, Tracy Durham.
Tracy Durham, Durham? Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay. So you're just kind of in the opening stages with this, just getting information.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I think the best way to put it is, right now, the village has no
I was just gonna
oversight
say, yeah, they don't have anything.
policy,
Tracy.
so
Jones?
Durham.
we
Yeah,
really
Durham.
feel,
There should be some.
most municipalities do now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Before it gets out of control, it's very, very good idea to do it now.
Hopefully we can get in front of it.
Yes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So